Aya iko na kai o pua I kala I a o he lua e li ke ai me o e. Aia I kona kai o pua I kala I a o he lua e li ke ai me o he. Malihini mako ya oe ikona ike kono ake aloha no mako. Haina ia mai ana kapuana a o he lua e li ke ai me o he. Haina ia mai ana kapuana a o he lua e li ke ai me o he.
Kumu Keala. Every time I hear you sing,
Oh.
I wish I was a hula dancer because I just want to dance.
We all are hula dancers. I
Oh, no. All right. A little bit more better. Okay. Okay.
because you're in control.
Are we really? Any of us? No. So, welcome to New Thought Center, Hawaii. I'm so glad to be back here, to be sitting across from Kumu Keala, a man who does not really need any introduction. But if you've never heard of Kumu Keala Ching, he's a wonderful person, and I will tell you more about him. So, I'm going to read from the Science of Mind, Guide for Spiritual Living, unless there's someone who really wants to read. Oh, thank you, Ramona.
Good morning, everybody. I'm going to be reading from the Science of Mind magazine, which is was started by Ernest Holmes and is put out by Center for Spiritual Living. So today's topic is Peace is a... We are the builders who are building a world that has never been built before. It's a quote from Cleo Wade. I now turn to the spirit within me. I know that it is close to me. It is what I am, and it governs my life in harmony and peace. Ernest Holmes. As we welcome this new month and season of the heart, let's begin with a gentle reminder. Everything we need to navigate the storms of life, we will find within, including peace. This week, I found myself in the middle of one of life's storms. As I rocked on the seas of change and uncertainty, I searched for the coordinates of inner peace. I remembered that in the eye of a storm, there is a tranquil oasis is in us. As I looked for a path to calm my center, I noticed that small moments of beauty and gratitude unveiled my peace. I found peace in the soft pink clouds of sunrise. I found it in the joyful song of the cardinal. I found it in a deep breath, in the kindness of a friend, in meditation, in prayer, in caregiving. It was here, hiding in plain sight. Today, as we set sail on a journey into the very heart of peace, it might feel like an unattainable dream. But when we look at peace through the sacred eyes of spirit, we realize that inner peace is not a dream for the future. It's a practice of many small steps that combine to create a new way of life. It's an adventure of spirit. Peace is a friend who never leaves, a friend who reminds us that these challenging pieces of our lives are not separate from the peace of divine love. Peace lives right here within us, illuminated by the simple sacred moments of this day. And the affirmation, I'll read it once through and then we can do the half together and half together. So the whole affirmation is, I unveil the peace within me. I have a calm center in the storms of my life. I unveil the peace within me.
I unveil the peace within me.
I have a calm center in the storms of my life.
I have a calm center in the storms of my life.
Okay, mahalo.
And so it is.
And so it is. Ameni.
It reminds me in my youthful days, and I was a broody punk rocker in in a very urban center of Detroit, and I found the writings of Thich Nhat Hanh and his book, Peace is the Way, and that's always been something that's helped channel me in the years, that there is no way to peace. Peace, and I think that's a very important thing to remember. Um, we choose in every moment, are we going to be at peace? Are we going to walk the path of peace? So, with that thought, let's go into a meditation and really bring ourselves here in this moment of being in new thought. Even if you are far away on watching us on our YouTube, um, we can always enter that moment of peace. So you just take a deep breath in, feel that air expanding your lungs, and as you exhale, you're letting go of all that tension, all of that busyness. And with the next breath you inhale, you're bringing in all of the energies that surround you. And as you exhale, you make that connection back into the universe. And as we connect with our breath and with the air, that air nourishes our bodies, our blood, our lymph. And as we exhale, we give back, which we no longer need, but is useful in the universe. And it's that exchange, as simple as the breath, that keeps us connected with everything and everyone. It's why in so many cultures, sharing the breath is sacred. We breathe in, we breathe out, and there's no other moment than this. And like our breath can bring us peace, so can the vibration of air, whether it's singing or playing music. We can always find that peace wherever we are because it's always there for us. And that's why, when they say, oh, if you're, before you say something you might regret, take a deep breath. Helps us find that peace within.
E akahai e nā Hawaii, e lo kahi ka mana kahi kolu. Oia I o kou kulani. E haaha I ke alo o ke ahua. E aho nui e. O ke aloha ka mea I hola ai. O ke aloha ka mea I hola ai. O ke aloha ka mea I hola ai.
Mahalo.
Yes.
Once again, welcome this morning to New Thought. We're so glad everyone's made it here today. I'm sure to hear Kumu because he's awesome.
Nah. I miss
um, as many of you know, New Thought's been here for a while. We've been bringing light, love, and spirituality to the Kona community for a long time. From this lanai since the 90s. And inspired by Ernest Holmes and Living or Centers for Spiritual Living. We're kind of an umbrella faith-based organization that really get to the core of what most religions aspire to, which is just connecting people with spirit, with each other, and celebrating that that foundationalness of being human and being spiritual all at the same time. We don't pick a favorite. We just love it all. I was thinking about it's kind of like an ice cream store where there's all these different flavors and you can pick your favorite flavor and your flavor doesn't have to be your friend's favorite flavor. You just all get to come together and enjoy what you like the best and each other's company, most importantly. So thank you for joining us. And Kuma's going to give us a question.
Hello, everyone. There's so many things that's going on. I think the meeting was such a beautiful thing. As it says that there's lots of storms among us as we find our peace within ourselves. Interesting because, we identify with our peace because we know what it is. And this is what is so important to understand what peace is because it's certainly different for every one of us. And this is where this whole ice cream shop comes in. We're all different, and this is cool. In the song that I opened up with was Ikona. And in the song, it talks about how this whole entire district of Kona was once filled with Malihini. And Malihini is not all the newcomers. Malihini, well, it is newcomers, but it's not the newcomers that we think of it today. Newcomers are even our own local people were newcomers. And what I'm saying is we in Kona found that there is two different styles of traditional heiaus. Traditional heiau is like a center of spirituality. So when we look along the coastline of Kona, in Kona, documented 4,000 temples built throughout this whole district, which speaks a lot. It speaks about what this whole peace and sacredness of Kona is all about. So, documenting 4,000 temples, and within these temples, you see how they were constructed. And when you talk about construction, you're looking at Malihini coming together. Because in these constructions, you have, and I know I shared this story, you have the people from the south, Ka'u, and when they come, their style of building these buildings are laying these rocks flat. So it could be a huge rock. You would want to stand it up because it takes lesser rocks to build a temple. However, from Ka'u, the foundation is always lay these huge stones down. So if you drive down to Ka'u, all these kuleana walls, these are all the old rock walls that's on the side of the road. Take notice that there's a lot of the stones that are laid down flat. They're not standing up straight. Unlike a lot of our stone walls that we see them today, they have a lot of facial rock stones. And all these face rocks comes from the district of Hawi Kohala. So when we talk about Malihini, we're talking about not our white skinned Malihini. In the song, it talks about all of these people that came from Hawi to make life here in Kona and the people of Kau to make life in Kona. So in this song, it certainly gives us this idea of we being Malihini. Malihini mako ya oi I Kona. We are Malihini to this beautiful place of Kona. And the piece of Kona is in the North District of Kona. North District of Kona was called Ahu Olono. And Ahu is a temple, Lono is the god of peace. So when we look at peace, we all are different walks. We're all on different path of what this peace is. So we have to really identify what does peace mean to you. And as that is, we're looking what is my connection to it. And that's what I will be sharing today, Pilina. Pilina is what is my connection? So what's your connection to this piece and where is it? Yeah. So it should be one one word. Yeah. What is my connection and what is it? Like mine, hualalai. One word. We save the stories during lunch. Then you can tell me why it's hualalai during lunch. But to save time, it's just one word. We got it? All right. Who wants to start?
So I'm going to
Pass
pass
the
this
mic.
lovely handheld mic.
Red.
It's on. Oh, it is. Introduce yourself in one word. Momi is my name, and the ocean.
Ocean.
Makekai.
Ohana.
Woohoo.
Cindy, the wind.
The wind.
Joe, the sky.
So, the mountain.
Lynn, the newness.
Shayla. Breathe.
Ching, nature.
Yes.
Cherry, ho'okena.
Candy. Cosmos.
Jan, plants.
Reagan, heart mind.
Martha, the world.
Lloyd, the air.
Jeanette, nature.
Margie, pass.
Shelba, wind.
Calm ocean.
Stephen, everything.
Sally, water.
Patty, the breath. Jamie, nature.
Lexi, non-grasping.
Ramira Uhane.
Charlie, peace comes from my heart.
I'm Terry, my garden.
Kathy, empathy.
Tana, the breath.
Marcus, the ocean.
Eddie, patience.
But wait, there's more.
Pasha, children.
Elijah, Leolani. Kaina. Leah, love.
Mahalo nui. Really, really nice to share. I think mine, as I shared with you, Hualalai, is my center of peace because every morning I go out and I look at her, and sometimes she's covered up. Then I'm like, all right, I'm sort of peace, but not at peace. And then those mornings when the cloud is gone, oh my gosh, I'm like, wow. And that's when I'm really at peace, to know that we are able to connect. Because, like I said, in order to know peace, you got to know what it looks like. You got to know what it is. You have to be able to know and connect with that. What is peace? Because we're all on a different walk path. It's great that we have these beautiful words, but to know what peace is and what is my connection to spirituality, we have to identify that. And so that's where Pilina comes in. Pilina is our connection. And as I shared with you, Hualalai is my deepest connection. Now, I've taken that on because I've moved here 24 years ago. And before that, my mountain where I was from is Mauna Kapu. It's a very sacred mountain. So every time I go back and I visit, I always am at awe when I see this mountain. So I'm at peace when I'm looking at this mountain. So it's something that I am able to relate to and connect to. All right.
Excellent.
All right.
Actually, every time I see Hualalai, I remember a story you shared about the Mauna Hualalai and the clouds that come and is a lay. And unfortunately, my memory is spotty.
Like ours.
But when I stand and I look at her, I always try and remember the details of that story. Maybe one day I'll be in the audience when you tell it again.
What do we have next?
A song.
Oh, a song. Okay. Talk about this beautiful song. It's about 45 years old, written by Mike, Kumu Keala. Talks about how we are related to the rain and how the rain is connected to the ocean and how the ocean helps us to move in hula motions and just moving, connecting to the land on the lehua, and then relating back to the ocean. Just very similar to the water cycle. Ke ihola kaua hale hale na lehua o luna helele ke kai. Hula le ana le hua I ka moana. He kupala ka ua I ke kai. Ke ho I holu e aloha mai. He mele no e kuulani. Kawaile hua a ala ka honua. Kawaile hua a ala ka honua.
Mahalo for that beautiful song.
You're welcome. Short version.
Uh,
I mean, it's the whole song, but it's the short one.
You're not repeating it 3 times.
Yeah, I'm not repeating it 5 times.
Well, that leads us to one of our favorite times during the New Thought service of miracles and ordinaries, where the miraculous is an ordinary or an ordinary happenstance you become aware is miraculous. I'll start with like a simple example. My fob for my fancy car, it's electric, and it got wet. Go figure in Ho Now Now. So it stopped working. So I can't open my car unless I take the emergency key out and unlock it like the old school way. But once you do that and you open the door, the alarm goes off. And then you have to stick the fob in to get the alarm to stop. Well, the fob costs $200. And to program it, because it's a computer thing, is $250. And that's $450. And that's a lot of dollars. So for about 3 months, I've been just not locking my car, or if I lock my car, really fast getting that fob in. And I got it so where the alarm goes off twice before I can get. Well, the other day I was outside someplace. I knew somebody was getting like body work done and I didn't want to disrupt. And I'm like, oh. And I just tried to unlock it and it worked. And that was my miracle. I didn't disturb somebody's like sacred body work process with my obnoxious car because I'm a cheapskate where, I was like, please, Lord, just let it unlock. And it did. Very simple. Very ordinary.
Beautiful. I have a really cute story and shouting out to Lisa Brown and Paul. They were part of us. They moved. And Liza, yes. And Paul actually gifted me his ukulele, and which I was really, really blessed. And I shared with him that I'm going to bring it to the school. So I use this ukulele at the school that I'm at right now. I'm at Keala Elementary. And I'm one of 3 vice principals there. I'm in charge of the Hawaiian Studies program, and trying to figure out how to bring our community into the school to maybe sit and read with some of our kids. But anyway, this is something really, really unique, and I know it worked because it worked up here in Konoana. I go to our very special class. They call them fully inclusion students. They cannot get involved in the regular classes because they need a little bit more help and assistance. So I always go in and I always go to sing because I know music really invigorate these children or these students. So this one kid I maybe met once. He never came towards me. He just sat down. So this time I took my kids in, my fifth graders, and I said, okay, we're going to sing a song. So I took the ukulele out, and this kid, I was told that he's very, very violent. And so he stood in front of me, excited to hear the ukulele. And he was trying his best to try and put his hands on the ukulele. And I just kept on singing. But what really hurt me was they were trying to get him away from the ukulele, and I wanted him to come near the ukulele. So I actually turned to the aide and said, let him go. And so I started to continue singing, and he was over there just having so much fun. And his lead teacher was very close because she knows the strength of this kid. So I'm singing. And then the song was done, but he really wanted to touch the ukulele. So I pulled the chair and I just pointed to him. And he sat down and I put the ukulele in his hands. And of course, everybody was like, and all he did was he held the ukulele and he smiled and he put the ukulele between his legs because that's how he feels. And he used his feet on the ukulele. And everybody just looked at me and goes, Kuma, you put an ukulele in this child's hand? And I said, I can buy another ukulele. But to see the happiness of this child, it was just very, very beautiful. And so I tried to get the ukulele on his belly so that I can play it because that's that vibrations. They can feel it. So I tried it and I put it there and he was excited and excited. And then he gave me the ukulele so we can do hokey pokey. So we did the hokey pokey and he was all excited. Unbeknownst to me, his father was standing out by the door watching this whole thing. And it was such a blessing because then this child went with his father and left for the day. So that was my very story. Eliza and Paul for this beautiful gift that they give me to give to these children up there in Keala. So mahalo nui.
So, is anyone else inspired to share their miracle or their ordinary? Don't be shy. Our illustrious president.
Is about language. So, that's one of the things that one of my, I don't know, Pilina with Kumu, that we're both love language and learning language and sharing language. So, about a week or so ago, we had guests in our Ohana unit that we rent, and they were Canadians from the province of Alberta, but they were originally from Russia. Like they immigrated 18 years ago. And I told them, well, I really need to practice my Russian. It's kind of rusty and I've been retired. I'm not teaching it and interacting with that language daily like I did for many years. So they took me at my word. And and we would have these conversations where, it starts out okay, and then I reach a certain word, and it's like, where is it? you know, but they were very patient, and help gave me little clues, and occasionally we would lapse into English if we couldn't find another way, but it was a wonderful experience. And one evening, I think I was just coming down to return a compost container or something, but they were drinking tea on the lanai, watching the stars, and they invited me to sit with them for a little while, and that's a very Russian thing to do, to drink tea together. And so that turned into quite a long conversation, and something about, it's kind of semi-darkness, and the pleasure of the tea is like I kind of forgot to be nervous, so it was easier to just let the language flow and the communication more natural. Well, the next morning I got this text from the man, Alexei. He was basically apologizing because he had said something about Americans, some general statement that wasn't especially complimentary. I think they were explaining why they chose to immigrate to Canada and not the United States. And in the morning, and I've learned how to text in Russian, which is really great because it fills in the spelling. And I don't have to worry about is there a soft sign, is there a hard sign? Anyway, but he was apologizing that he had said something negative about Americans. And then he said, well, because we were speaking in Russian, I forgot, you know, and you just seem like nashi, which is like ours. Yeah. So just the power of language. And I was willing to be kind of foolish and speak the language that I don't have down perfectly, which made them be able to speak their stronger language. And I reassured him I didn't take it personally about, yeah.
Well, this is not a miracle. It's more like the serendipitous of it all. Like maybe that's a miracle. But very recently, I had a birthday. And this morning, I woke up and realized, oh, I have to go to Ace Hardware after this service and get something for $10. It's going to cost $10. And then this morning, I got a $10 gift certificate from somebody for Ace Hardware.
Anyone else move to share? Yeah, come here.
My name's Leah, and actually, I have two miracles, and they're miracles that happened to someone that I love very much, my mother, Olga. She was born in Copenhagen, Denmark, in 1924. In 1944, no, 1940, whatever. She was 16 years old when the Nazi occupation of Denmark happened. They were gathering people around and sending them off to concentration camps. And she was very savvy for a 16-year-old woman, and she spoke fluent German, which was very helpful. And they had a lineup of people to test how strong they were. And she said they had her stepping up and down on an apple box, up and down, up and down, up and down. And then they would take the pulse, see how strong you were and which line you were going to go in or which train you were going to get on. And she said, it happened to her that she realized she didn't want to go. But how am I going to get out of this? So she made up a story. And it wasn't really, part of the story was true. She lived and was raised on a farm. She rode horses. She was a gymnast. She was a swimmer. She was strong. She worked on the farm, so she had tools. And she knew that if she got to a concentration camp, she'd have to dig ditches and do physical things. So she said, I'm very strong. You're going to want me. I have tools in my apartment. I could go back to my apartment, get tools. It'll help you. This is all in German. And they said, well, that's a great idea. So they sent a young soldier with her, the rifle over his shoulder, back to her apartment. And she lived either on the second or third floor. And of course, she was beautiful and she had ringlets in her hair. And she flirted with him all the way back, fluttering her eyelashes. And he was quite taken with her, of course. And so she established trust. That was his mistake. They got to the front door and she said, I'll just go up to my apartment, get my pickaxe and my shovels, and I'll be right back down. And he believed her. So she went up the stairs and out the window and across the rooftops into hiding. Woo! That was the first miracle for my mom. And then within a few weeks, everybody was being shuffled around and hiding and trying to find their way out. And she got wind of a fisherman who agreed to take a group of people hiding under the fishing nets on his boat at nighttime across the strait. If you look at a map of Denmark and Sweden, it's a very narrow strait there at the Baltic Sea. And so they were hiding under the nets. They paid him whatever they paid him. And there were searchlights on the water, sweeping. And the fisherman, the boat captain knew, oh my goodness, the Nazis are coming. If they board the ship, my boat, and they find you, they'll kill me. Everybody, I'm sorry, but you have to swim. So they all dove into the water nighttime in the Baltic Sea. It's a little cold. And they swam to freedom, her second miracle. And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that and many other things. Thank you.
Miracles indeed. So much that has brought each one of us to this lanai today. I mean, we all have stories of our ancestors surviving in one way or another, or maybe just floating on the tides of good grace and good fortune to be here. And how fortunate we are. I'm very grateful to be here, to be in the presence of Kumu Keala Ching, hear his words, his songs, his ike, his mana'o that he brings forward. He's truly a cultural treasure in the making. He's in a lot of ways, I see you as a bridge because you keep the traditions of the past alive and current. Yet you take that wisdom in Mana'o and you make it accessible for our future. And you do that not just for the adult minds who can understand it on an intellectual level, but you really engage and embrace with the youth who are truly our future. And you've been engaging with the Keiki o Ka'aina for decades now. And when I say engage, he's not just educating them. He's like literally engaging them. He was my son's kindergarten teacher. And one of the first things he did, and you've got all these little kids who did not grow up speaking Hawaiian. And all of a sudden they're in an immersion language school. And so he embodied the language and he would have them pick up their chairs and carry them outside and set them down. And then they'd be all outside and he'd be like, ku, which means to stand up, noho, which means to sit down. And then holo, which means to walk. And so he would do this. And so like they're physically embodying the language. And then he, in addition to teaching the language, he teaches hula. He writes songs. He's gone from being a kindergarten teacher to now being a vice principal, managing the whole Hawaiian language program. And it's not a small thing to be a kumu hula. It is a very arduous task that requires dedication and tenacity, and a whole lot of dedication and a whole lot of tenacity. And just because you go through the motions doesn't mean, I would say mentor. I don't know the language for what your kumu is other than kumu. They can say no. If they don't like your attitude, if they don't think you're going to do as they taught you, you don't get the Iniki ceremony. You don't get to be called a kumu hula. And it's like a lot of things in Hawaiian where you don't just decide to give yourself a title. Oh, I've earned it. I feel I've earned it. I've worked hard. Your community bestows it to you. And not only our community, but the community that raised Kumu Keala bestowed it to him before he came here. And so it's really, really a privilege to be here, to sit with him, to introduce this man, to share his songs and his stories. And Kumu Keala Ching.
Hello. Ya no keola ku kila kila ke au pua ke au lulua ke au ku nei ke kai ha no kai ma uki uki ha ulu mai la ino kama kami o eka I ka ino ia wahi mauna o la Kuana I ana I ho malu kapala wa I puhau o puhau kuno wai na palilua I mauna lana mauna I ka he ke kau aku au mai I awa wai ola I ka o halai leki ola mai la ino kanaka kuana o au ai na ku kila kila ona li ia ino ko mako a ko mai la no ka ike a mako imi aku ai ko ia ino ke o ola Aia ki aloha Aloha. Thank you very much for that beautiful introduction. Thank you, everyone, for having me, being a part of New Thought Center. I was I just totally forgot that every Sundays I do a Hawaiian language class that has been part of my mind for 14 somewhat years. And that was to read the Hawaiian Bible and really, really pull out that information from that knowledge. And the knowledge of the Hawaiian Bible goes directly from Hebrew into Hawaiian. And it's not Hebrew, English, and then English Hawaiian. So in the Bible, it's kind of confusing when you're reading the Hawaiian and you're looking at the English. But to be able to explore the beauty of the Hawaiian language is just amazing. So I asked Pasha if I could come by a little earlier because my class starts at 9 o'clock and it finishes at 10. So mahalo nui, Pasha and the New Thought Center to allow me to have my class here on Zoom. It is a Hawaiian language class. Hawaiian language meaning that I conduct the whole thing, the whole hour in the Hawaiian language. So that my students that are taking the Hawaiian language will be able to sit back and listen and hear how it is explained, just like the miracle that Pasha has been away from the Russian language, and to be able to sit down and just be able to hear that, everything begins to come back and everything begins to find that Pilina, that connection to the miracles of the language. Well, that's what I've been doing for the past 2 months now. And it all began with my class that I had, and it's in our last 6 months now, where I taught Hawaiian language through the avenue of Ho'oponopono. Ho'oponopono is truly a lifestyle and not something that you can turn on and off like a light switch, which is very, very similar to this piece that I shared with you. You know, we have to identify what the piece is, and we can't just turn it on and turn it off just because there's so much chaos around us. You turn it on and then you turn it off. But it should be a part of our lives constantly. This sense of peace should be a part of it. Last night, I did a really bad thing. I watched the football game.
Which one?
The football game of Konawaina High School and Kapa'a, Kauai. Two of the most beautiful places that I love. And I was over there rooting for Konawaina because all of those kids actually came through my class. So I knew the quarterback, I knew the field goal kicker, the punt goal kicker. I knew them all. And because Konawana wasn't quite as successful, they were successful in the sense that they played an awesome game. But I was so hyped up that I had the hardest time falling asleep. The hardest time. And inside of me, I'm thinking, okay, what is my Pilina? What is my connection? And other than the Pilina that I know these children and I've been a part of their journey, it's very, very fascinating to know my Pilina. But this Pilina or this connection is, how do I identify it? How do I look to see what is it that I've been a part of this student's life? What is it? You know? And so, like this sense of peace, we have to know it. We have to know it, that it's a part of us, that is who we are. You know, and I said to myself, oh my gosh, I just want to turn this television off because I don't want to watch the end of it. But then inside I'm like, I want to know. I want to know what the end of it. So I decided to just watch the end and then went down to my room because that's where I peace. And then I put on some earphones and I just started to sit down on my bed up until 12:05. Then I said, you need to fall asleep. So I went, put it away, and then actually fall asleep until 1 o'clock. Because this sense of peace just really now had me going, because along with watching this football game, I'm also dealing with my students in Japan and explaining to them that I have an opportunity, that an organization is going to pay for my air flight up, and that all they need to do is figure out when it would be the best time to have a practice so that they don't have to pay for the airfare. But they started coming, maybe you shouldn't do it. Don't worry about us, Kumu. You should worry about, and I'm like, wait, this is an opportunity that someone else is paying for Kumu to go up to Japan, that you should take, because the organizers are saying, Kumu, just let us know when you want to fly in and when you want to fly out. So I thought that was beautiful. So I'm texting them, I need to let the organizers know today. And part of it is that I'm going to go up and do another health check. So last February, on this February, I did a full body health check. And then February coming, I'm going to do the second full body health check. And this is where you find the basics, you find where my numbers are, and then you see if I have improved or I've gotten worse. That's the reason why you do an assessment. You don't just do it, yay, you did it, and then let it go. So I was so upset. I told my students, well, fine then. This is what I want. This is what I need. I need it now. I need it within 3 days. Send it to me. So then she texts back and she said, Kuma, when would you like this health check? And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I text back, and this is lost in translation, right? So I believe my student who is translating my words called them up and told them what I was saying. Because now it came back to say, yes, Kuma, we'll do the health check. When would you like to do the health check? So I'm like, I'm confused. But if it is, then I'm doing it on Wednesday, Thursday, just before this event. All right, Kuma, I'll let you know. So I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, that is the whole reason why I couldn't fall asleep, because of all this going back and forth on this texting that I had to figure out, okay, let it go, Keala, just let it go. So I did. I let it go. Fell asleep at 1 o'clock, got up this morning, did my stretches that I needed to do because that's where our connection, my connection, Pilina, is to really, really connect with my body. So I did my exercises, I did my stretches, got up, and then my niece goes, Uncle, I want to eat. Throw me for a loop. I'm like, okay, what would you like to eat? Let's do it. So my student comes in and says, Kumu, you have to leave. And I goes, yeah, but she wants to eat. Don't worry, Kumu, I'll get it. So I go and get myself ready, head on down to New Thought to get myself all connected. And it's so beautiful how understanding Pilina connection is so, so important. Because in my reading on my class, it talked about how, we do our best to live in our peace, no matter how wild it is around us. We do our best. And the way we do our best is one, that's your fob. Go put your key in. And the way we do it is we have to connect. We have to know what is our pilina. So in the Olelo no ea, the Hawaiian proverb that I shared with the group was Ika olelo ke ola, Ika olelo kamake, which means in the word you can bring life. And in the words you can bring death. And this is really, really important because I've been asked to do blessings. And I try to share with the people that I'm doing the blessings that I'm not prepared to die. So I'm not doing all the bad words, all the wrong words for this blessing because ika olelo ke ola, ika olelo kamake. In the words, we bring life, and in the words, we can bring death. So in all my blessings, it's always built around life. And this is where it's really, really important. But we need to have this pilina. And in my blessings, my pilina is with my mountain. Yeah, this mountain is Hualalai, as shared with you in my chant. Hualalai is this woman of Hawaii Loa, and she is placed on this beautiful mountain. The clouds out here, these are the Opua clouds, and these are the billowy clouds. So we have the Opua Uli Uli, which is the dark clouds, then the Opua Loloa, which is the long clouds, and then the Opua clouds. And this is Pilina. This is Pilina, to know your clouds, to know the names of the mountain. Then we have this beautiful wind. This wind of Kona is the echo winds. Again, this is Pilina. Yeah, we don't just call the wind, we call it by its name. This is what Pilina and connection is all about. And this is where I want us to now take your connection to peace and what you know it and find out what's the name of this. Yeah. Many of you say nature, but what part of nature? What part of it? Is it the rain? Is it the dirt? Is it the birds? Is it the leaf? What part of it? And then you find that pilina, that connection to it. Because that what connects you to that is what's connecting to the peace. And that's what I was sharing. And then when we look at that, we find our connection and we know what is going on, yeah, around us. So yesterday I was approached by a woman, and she asked me, oh, do you work with energies? And I'm thinking, okay, what are you asking? Because sometimes we're not quite asking what we really want to know. We're asking just to skittish around the corners. So I'm like, what are you asking? Energy? What kind of energy are you talking about? Then she said, well, I went to one of the valleys And in the valleys, I felt this energy. And it was amazing that this energy gave me a sense of blessing. And I said, "Oh, wow, that's great." Said, and I think it was a Hawaiian energy. Would you be able to explain that to me? And I goes, "You thought that was a Hawaiian energy?" And she goes, "Yes." And so I try to understand, did you think it was a Hawaiian energy because it's from Hawaii? Or did you think it was an energy because you are in Hawaii and it belongs to Hawaii? So I'm trying to be as passionate and compassionate to this person that was really asking me the wrong questions. So I said to her, I said, "I believe you need someone in my culture, the Hawaiian culture, someone on this land down here to go and speak to. You go speak to them. They can tell you what you want." I said, "Because unless you are faced with the truth, it's very hard to see it." She goes, "Well, it's hard to see the truth." Oh, it's hard to speak the truth. It's hard to walk the truth. But when you see it in front of you, you are blinded. She goes, "Well, what do you mean?" And she looks at me and she said, "Are you Hawaiian?" And I looked at her and goes, "I'm Chinese." "But are you Hawaiian? Are you knowledge of the language?" And I said, "Were you not here when that guy did the blessing? Were you not here? The one that was walking around the land and sprinkling water, and did you not hear what he was saying?" I said, "That was me." And I said, "So you're asking me if I'm Hawaiian?" And I said, "And you're asking me if I know the culture?" And I said, then she said, "Well, I don't want to assume." And I said, "Oh, okay. Well, when you see the truth before you, you're going to be blinded. So I hope I answered your question." And she just looked at. So the couple next to me and said, "Kumu, are you Chinese?" And he goes, "No, I'm not pure Chinese." And she goes, "Oh, but Kumu, I heard you just tell her that you was Chinese." And I said, "No, she asked if I was Hawaiian." And I just looked at her and I said, "Did you not see me doing all of this today?" And she just looked at me and she just, "Well, I just don't want to assume." And I said, "Well," I said, "on your walks on the beach, you'll find a Hawaiian that will answer your questions. Other than that, if you're unable to see the truth, then it's very, very hard for you." And she just walked away. And so that's what I was telling the family. I was like, sometimes we are very, very blinded. We want to know what we want to see and what it looks like. Many times we come, you know, Costco's came because of that. Everybody needed fast and lots of things. So we said, "Well, I think Hawaii needs a Costco." Hawaii did not need a Costco. But to make it easy for a lot of us, we have Costco. And I'm not saying I'm not a visitor of Costco. I am, especially when I have to feed 150 kids. We need Costco. I need families to help me feed 150 kids. But I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that if we come to a place like Hawaii, we do what Hawaii does. And so, as I'm preparing for this house blessing, the front door, goes directly out to the back door. So I'm standing there and I'm like, "All right, I just want to let you know that in the local tradition, houses are never built with the front door leading up to the back door. You never built that like that." And they look at me and they said, "Why, Kumu?" And they said, "Because when the spirit walks into the door, you want the spirit to stay in the house. if you let the spirit go, it goes out to the back house. But the bad ones, they know how to turn. They walk in and they're going to turn and they look for the corner. That's where the bad ones will stay. And so the builder, he looks at me, he goes, well, you know, in Chinese tradition, you open the door on the east side and you keep it all the way out open to the temple. We're not in China. And he looked at me. I goes, listen, I'm Chinese. I goes, but we are not in China. So telling you this shouldn't be done. You shouldn't be building these. And I said, and I get it. You're the builder in front of your client. I get it. And I look at the client and I said, all you need is one table right here. That's all you need to do to block the spirit from going out of the house. Put a very beautiful table right here or right in front of that main door. And it'll block the spirit from going out. That's how you take care of these things that people that comes and do not learn from tradition. You never build a house with the front door opening the back door. No matter. You're not in China. This house would work out in China. But we're not in China. We're in Hawaii. And I'm telling you, and this is where Pilina is really, really important. So this is why when they ask me, Kumu, can you come and yeah, sure, I'll come and look. So I'm looking all for this not so good things that should have happened. But like Momi has shared, you know, they would have to redo the whole house. And that's not the key. The key is we can put a table there. It's very simple. It's a simple fix. You don't have to change the whole direction of the house. Simple fix. This is where it's very, very important. I did one more blessing up in Kohala. And they told me, oh, Kumu, this is where the house will be situated. And I said, oh boy. And he looks at me and goes, why, Kumu? And I said, you see this pathway from the top of the mountain? It comes right into this room and then it stops. You're stopping the spirits from walking from the top of the mountain all the way into your compound, which means all my people going to come and hang out in your house. Hobakum, we cannot. I goes, no, all you have to do is just move that block just a little so that they can continue to walk down. That's all you need to do. You don't have to change nothing. Just move it just a little. So he said, okay. All right, Kumu. And this is the whole big deal. There was boulders that was rolling down and they would stop right on the Alakahakai trail. So it stopped and was all the local boys that just stopped, saw the stone, and they dug out. So they called me up. And so I tell them, okay, we're going to need a 150-pound pig. They look at me and they said, what? Come on. Yeah, that's not your problem. It has to be unblemished. That's not even your problem, too. It has to be black. They went, what? Kumu? He goes, yeah. In order for this blessing to take place, black pig, unblemished, 150 pounds. All right, Kumu. And it needs to be buried right here. We're going to cook it right in this property. All right, Kumu. So early morning, they burn the fire, put the pig in. Afternoon come, get the pig out. I look at the pig. Oh, it's great. I said, okay, Kumu, what are we going to do? I said, you cut the top half and you see his head. You take it all the way down to the end of the point and you throw it in. This whole piece of pig, it was about almost 75 pounds. And I said, yes, throw the pig in. He goes, all right, Kumu. So they carry the pig all the way down, throw it in. And then they tell me, oh, Kumu, there was this big shark that came. And I goes, yes, that shark was to say, yeah, mahalo. Thank you very much. So what are we going to do with the next? Oh, the next, we're just going to break a little bit piece for our partake of our ceremony, and the rest of the pig goes into the ocean. Oh, Kumu, you mean we cannot bag the pig and take him home? No, you cannot do that. If you wanted that, you put a second pig right next to it. Other than that, this whole pig goes into the ocean. So to help them to understand Pilina, Pilina is the connection. We want to know what is the connection to the land. You know, especially in situations like that house and this house. This Pilina is very, very important. Relationship and connection is knowing our mountain, knowing the wind, knowing the clouds. Here in Kona, very rarely we have rain, but the rain comes in June, July, August, and September. To understand the different type of rain, this is also a simple pilina, a connection. How are we connected? Because when we look and identify for peace, we identify the understanding that it's within us. And when it's within us, it's easier to walk in this path of peace versus just turning it on and off when we need it. Yeah. So this is that pilina. Get to know your mountain. If you're in Kona, it's either Hualalai or Mauna Loa. Yeah. And your winds, you have either the Opua or the Opua Loloa, Opua Uli Uli. They have the long clouds, the billowy clouds, or the gray clouds. Yeah. And just saying Opua, Opua is a really, really nice name. And then we say Eka. Since you're in Kona, the north corner, we say Eka. The south corner, we say Pohu. Okay. So south corner people say Pohu.
Pohu,
Pohu. Pohu.
pohu.
Pohu is down south. Eka, say Eka. Eka is the wind on the north side. And say Opua.
Opua,
Opua is the name of the clouds. Yeah. Then you say Hualalai
Kuala,
and Mauna Loa.
Mauna
These are our
Loa.
two mountains. And these two mountains have protected us through many of the storms that was coming from the south. These mountains have split these storms up. Unless we receive a storm directly into Kona, brace yourself. Call all the names that you know. Opua Loloa, Opua Uli Uli, Hualalai Mauna Loa. Because this storm is coming directly to us. Yeah. And this is what this pilina that I wanted to share with everybody. Being able to connect and mostly to be able to relate to what is peace. What is peace? Any questions? Yes. Pohui. So the question was the word pohui is the meaning of potato. So we have several different type of potato. One of the potatoes that we know is the um, uwala. So the uwala is a name of the specific potato. We have uwala uli uli, which is the blue one. And then we have uwala lani, which is the orange potato. And then we have the uwala keo keo. So we have all these different type of potatoes that is of that color. Then we have a Hawaiian potato. Yeah, so pohui, I'm not sure. Any other questions? Yes. We have a person in the audience that want to be specific in her question, which is a great idea. Great idea.
okay, when the storm is happening, okay, and your world doesn't appear at peace, you're saying, remember, like my word was calm ocean. So just, there's the intellectual and the spiritual, but they have to come together. Is that kind of how the Hawaiians see it as well? I don't know how to word my question.
All right. So our question is coming from a practitioner of Lomi Lomi, and this Lomi Lomi is a massage, and she comes from not from Hawaii. So, however, she has made her home here in Hawaii, and she desired to understand the relationship of Hawaiian practices and in the form of connection, and also to understand the intellect behind this whole focus of what Hawaii is all about. So, this is the question, and the question is there a relationship or a connection between knowing Hawaii and the intellect of it? Was that your question? Just kind of reiterating the question.
I did feel a very different energy than I had felt anywhere else in the world, and I have traveled before I came.
So the question was that she has been part of Hawaii, and this special energy that she felt here in Hawaii. Um, what is this relationship and connection?
I really feel connected here in this for the first time in my life. However, lately I've been having storms, and maybe I'm not supposed to stay in Hawaii. Maybe I'm being called somewhere else. But things that you have said today made me realize, oh no, Annette, remember that connection when you flew in, that this, you always seem to bring all these connections.
All right. So, okay. So we want to understand the story that I shared. And in the story that I shared was the individual asked, just kind of revisiting that story, as she journeyed into one of the valleys and she felt this energy that provided her with a blessing, she said. And she shared with me, or she asked me if this blessing was done by the Hawaiian blessing. So I guess my question to her was, is it an energy that you thought was Hawaiian because it's in Hawaii? Or is it that you desire to know that it is an energy from Hawaii that provided you a blessing in Hawaii? So I always say that in this sense of Pilina, you connect yourself to who you are. So, and that is all the kupuna, the energy that is who I am. And this is where it's really, really important because in order to honor an energy, you honor the energy that you are related to. Like the beautiful story of Leah's mom. That is a Pilina. Because if Leah's mom didn't have that keenness and brightness to figure it out, Leah wouldn't be here. So this is the type of energy that I was trying to relate to her, that you need to connect to who you are. And by connecting to who you are, you honor this energy because it is the energy that made you. Yeah. And if you thought that that energy up here is because it's a Hawaiian energy because you're in Hawaii, then you need to connect to your energy first. And that energy is most likely and most times people don't want to connect with them, but all your ancestors are the ones that made who you are. And if you're able to connect with them, whether it's through the Hawaiian spirit here, and that's why they're helping. They're hoping for you to connect with who you are. And this is what I was trying to explain to her. You need to know who's around you to know that that's them and that's not a Hawaiian spirit. I mean, you want it to be a Hawaiian spirit. That's great. But I cannot tell you if it's a Hawaiian or not. Because one, you're a newcomer. You're a new visitor. How you know it's this spirit? And you're in a valley that was not accepted by visitors. So to me, you went in the valley and all your kupuna, all your ancestors was around you. And so if you can relate that that was them in the valley that provided you a blessing, then honor them first. Honor them first. Don't disrespect them and honor the spirit that is here in Hawaii. And if I had more patience than I did yesterday, I would have said that when I go to Europe, I bring my own kupuna energy. When I go to Japan, I bring my own kupuna energy. I'm not there to seek out the energy that is there at that land. No, I bring the one that made me because they are the ones that's protecting me. When I went to Tahiti, and I opened up this heiau, I didn't ask the Tahitian, the Tuamotu ancestors to come and help me. I asked mine. And this is what Pilina is all about. Knowing and honor who you are and getting it influenced by who the land is to help you to really, really understand this connection, this Pilina is really, really important. And that's what I wanted to share with her. Get to know yours first and then connect with those that are here in Hawaii. And I said the reason is Hawaii is such a melting pot. You have Portuguese, all families on this side. So I'm not sure if it was one Portuguese spirit that would touch you. I'm not sure. It was close to Honoka'a, all the Filipinos. So Filipinos, all that spirit goes to that valley. So I'm not sure. I think it's great that you want to honor the Hawaiian spirit, but because we are so blessed to have so many cultures here, it could be one of them. And this is where we need to find that pilina, find that relationship. So when I do house blessings, I try to figure out, what are you looking at? Who is it? What face did you see? What's happening? Who was involved? Because I'm not going to go in there and try and chase out a Portuguese spirit when I'm doing all my Hawaiian. The Portuguese looking at me like, you know. So it's Pilina. Pilina is very, very important. So thank you very much for your question. Hi.
Well, thank you, Annette.
Mahalo.
So we're at that time where we can show our connection to New Thought by sharing little financial support. Well, Kumu plays another wonderful song. Thank you, everyone.
Kauhi he o kalani e kua o heno I kapoli e kale hua beauty na uho I oe e mili oe nakapulena e kale hua hopo o hiaka e kalei I kapoli e kapoli pumehana a o pele e he nani o I oe ke ke Kohu ole I kamaka e ka beauty e pau ole ko uho I me hoe ule I po ina ole pile pono e e kupua leua e aloha e kauhi he o kalani e kupua o e no I kapoli kale ua beauty na uho I oe he nani o I oe ke kohu ole I kamaka e ka beauty e pau ole ko o ohi me oe kulei po I ole pili pono e Ai.
Thank you, everyone, for sharing in your abundance with us, and may abundance return to you threefold. Um, Thank you. All right. So thank you. And may the abundance of peace you feel also return to you 3 times, because abundance is more than just financial. But coming up at our Sunday services are at 10 a.m. in person or by live stream. Video on YouTube is available after if you miss it or you want to go back and you're like, oh my gosh, I really loved everything Kumu Keala had to say. I want to watch all of his visits at New Thought. You can do that. The next 3 Sundays, on the 8th, we're going to trim the tree. We're going to have a mini service and then a decorating party to get into the festive season. A light lunch will be provided when the decorating is complete. On the 15th, we're going to have music by Lokelani. And on the 22nd, Kelly Semmelsberger winter solstice ceremony. So come early and participate in the drum circle at 9:45. We're still having weekly classes with Jinan Wong. He does Tai Chi and Qigong. Those are Mondays, 4:30 to 5:30. And if you pay for the whole month, you get a discounted rate.